All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to get started. And in case there's others that join, we're going to start with just a round of introductions. If you want to kind of rotate that, we'll start back over here. Dustin, can we start with you today?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, wait a minute. We're on mute. Can you repeat it back for me for a second?
Yes.
Yep. Oh, Lou, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right, thank you. Okay, back to you, Justin.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Justin Vargas from Assemblyman Juan Allen East's office representing Assembly District 22.
Kelly Talent, representing Villageburg Mall and auxiliary board member of the Chamber of Commerce.
Ramon Mendez, Ambassador Welcome Team for the Modesto Chamber of Commerce, and also work with Catherine Ramos with CISPRO website design.
All right, here, sir.
John Menster, American Lumber Company.
Rich Christensen, President and CEO of the Modesto Chamber of Commerce.
Stephen Qualls, League of California Cities.
Zad Brocho with Modesto
And then anybody with the Tuolumne River Trust.
and then Hillary Beardsley with the Tuolumne River Trust.
And Alou.
Alou Ceballos, Community Engagement Specialist for Golden Valley Health Centers.
Great, thank you. All right, your meeting, sir.
Okay, so John and Michael were not able to be here today, so I'm going to be your guest host, I guess. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start off with the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes for our last meeting?
They were all here, kind of down to them.
I'll make it.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make the motion. Can I get a second, please? Cecil says second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Okay, abstain? All right, great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, we're gonna do our report outs. Do we have anybody from the city of Modesto here? Anybody from Stanislaus County? Okay. District 22, I think you're on the floor.
All right, thank you. Yeah, so really important meeting here today, especially for us. We have a lot of things coming out of the Capitol. The first and most significant, I think, is our first bill to be passed through the Assembly about a month or so ago. Assembly Bill 1467, the Nevada Youth Sports Act, has now passed through the Senate and is actually on its way to the governor's desk. We're really excited to be getting that done in such a hurry. It's a really important bill, especially to our area, provided the bill is named in memory of a young girl not too far outside of our district who lost her life in a tragic incident revolving around youth sports and revolving around what the bill entails. So we're really excited to get that legislation passed. We saw a lot of other victories, especially in the realm of public safety, not necessarily from our bills, but the work that we did to stop some of the bills that were on the extreme end of things, like Assembly Bill 742 by Assemblymember Corey Jackson, ending the use of police canines for the purpose of apprehension and crowd control. That bill was pulled from being voted on, pulled from the call. So we will not be seeing that bill for the remainder of the year. The other being Assembly Bill 93 by Assemblymember Bryan, which would end the use of consensual search by officers throughout the state of California, something that would really just take another tool away from our law enforcement keeping us safe. On the other end of the spectrum, the Valley did not have a great day or great week last week or two, especially when the Assembly origin deadline came about. We saw the pretty extensive bureaucracy put into like the San Juan Air Pollution Control Board, which we were rather disheartened to see. Some of our water rights are under attack. I wish Deanna, right? Dana. I wish she was here to talk about some of that was going on because she's the water expert. But we're hoping to see those bills not make it through the Senate or hopefully vetoed by the governor. We're going to keep fighting hard for those issues, even though those bills have made it out of our House. The last thing I wanted to report is, our keynote bill for the year was Assembly Bill 335. It was a study bill helping pretty much commissioning the Little Hoover Commission out of Sacramento to run a study regarding retail theft and the effects Prop 47 had on retail theft and the loss and damages exposed that businesses have been exposed to throughout the state. That bill unfortunately died in the Appropriations Committee a few weeks back. However, we have been working behind the scenes with a number of legislators to actually find a way to revive this effort. So you'll see it in the next coming days. We'll have a press release out, but this is very hot out of our office. We've actually constructed a letter to the Little Hoover Commission to do this study privately, asking them to do it because we think it's significant to understand what's happening in our state in terms of retail theft. A majority of both houses have signed on to this letter already. So I think that really goes to show that despite the politics that certain people want to play in the legislature, there he is. Despite the things, the politics people want to play in the legislature and not wanting to see the truth about what's happening in our state, the majority of the legislature wants to see the data, wants to understand what's happening, especially in the world of retail theft. I think this is really significant, especially showing the Westfield Mall in San Francisco is actually just they're giving up their rights to the mall. They're looking for a new management company to oversee that facility, and the main reason being retail theft. It's really fortunate to see, and we just want to get to the bottom of it. And we hope that this letter really reinvigorates the fight that we're going on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, any questions?
Just talk to me a little bit about that Hoover Commission.
Yeah, absolutely. The Little Hoover Commission is a nonpartisan think tank in Sacramento. They're wholeheartedly considered the most unbiased, down the middle, objective group in Sacramento, and they do they're commissioned for a vast amount of these studies and data to help the legislature understand some of the effects of different policies throughout the state. So yeah, the Little Hoover Commission, they do a great job. They do a great job. They are considered by both sides of the aisle to be the most well reputed group in Sacramento. Any other questions?
Not saying I have one. So are you talking about, you said there's interest in the legislature, both sides of the aisle. Is there a chance that there will be a bill that will be gutted and amended that would be brought back? Or are you just going to do the study and then wait till next year?
So that I'm not certain of. That's something that they call jailbreaking a bill, which is effectively taking a bill that's already passed to the other house, re-amending it, and pretty much gutting it, re-amending it, turning it to a whole new bill, and let it try and pass through that house, come back to the assembly and try again effectively. I'm not sure if that's a route that's being taken at this time. I just know that the large majority, I think 85 legislators in total have signed on to this letter. And so there is overwhelming support for it. So whether that's a route that's being considered, I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you. So I see that Kirsty just joined us. Do you have any questions? Were you able to hear the representative's report?
Yes, I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And so we just had some new people come in. I believe that, would you like to do a report for us?
Yes, Kristan Santos, Congressman John Duarte's office, and joined by my Madera Fresno colleague, Joshua Babcock as well. I know I've been seeing some of you folks less. I've actually been covering Merced County mainly, but I'm covering for Gavin Klein this afternoon. We've had an extremely busy week in the House of Representatives. Congressman John Duarte is proud to be a co-sponsor of the American Dream and Promise Act. This is a bipartisan bill that would grant DACA recipients a pathway to American citizenship, given that they have been residing in the United States for at least 4 years and have work authorization. We're also co-sponsors in the bipartisan immigration bill with Representative Salazar of Florida and Representative Escobar of Texas. That's going to be called the Dignity Act. That would create multiple pathways for legal permanent residents, mainly the dignity and redemption programs. So the dignity program be a 7-year program that would enable applicants to have an opportunity to pay back taxes, get a social security number, get a work authorization. Some of the restitution funds, I believe it's $5,000 over 7 years, would go into a fund specifically for workers. And once they complete that program, there's another program called the redemption program that will follow the dignity program, which would be a pathway to legal permanent residence, known as a green card. And that's given, the prerequisite for that is completion of the dignity program. But also, rather than the E-Verify mandate, which we felt necessitated our no vote on HR2, which was several weeks ago, it would be replaced with a CAW, a Certified Agricultural Worker Program. This would be a work authorization. This is a non-immigration visa at this point, but a registered federal guest worker program would be specifically helpful for the agricultural and construction industries that we have in our valley as well. Regarding some of our committee hearings, it's been very busy as some of the business from last week was pushed to this week. We had full committee markups on the Natural Resources Committee. We're, I believe, signing on to the Forest Management Act with Representative Tom McClintock. We also had some bills on the Water, Wildlife, and Fisheries Subcommittee regarding some Western Caucus priorities regarding the relationship with the Bureau of Reclamation and some Western water storage projects in the Colorado River Basin and other places. And we also had a hearing yesterday with the governor of Wyoming and Governor Kristi Noem of South Dakota on HR 3397, which we're a co-sponsor of. That's a bill that would ask the Director of Bureau of Land Management to rescind a new rule that they're thinking of. It would be a single-use conservation permit. We feel very strongly that the mandate that has guided the agency's management of federal lands for the past 50 years is multi-use permits, like say you could use for both recreation and mining or raising and recreation. We feel that that should be the path forward rather than the single-use mandate. And we have some concerns about what would be the determining factor in what constitutes conservation. So we feel that would very strongly restrict the access of rural communities to some of the public lands that surround them. It's not as much of an issue for our district as it is for Representative McClintock's district and other parts of California, but other states like Nevada, Wyoming, Oregon, it's an extremely relevant issue for some of their properties, which are a lot more touched by federal government land. So that's just some of the work we've been doing this week in the House, and we're going to keep on trucking. So thank you very much for the opportunity to report to you today.
Thank you.
Anything you want to add?
No, I think my colleague summed it up very nicely.
I finally met somebody who speaks faster than I do. So, and any questions? Thank you very much. Appreciate your report. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and let's see, do we have anybody from the utilities? I don't see.
Since we don't have anyone from the Modesto Irrigation District, perhaps I can speak up a little bit.
Please do.
So Justin mentioned the bills on water rights. And so that's been they've been skirmishing on that for some time, and they're going to continue to skirmish. And the current 3 bills are, I'm going to say, nibbling at the edges of the system. One bill would basically allow the water board to curtail diversions. And the interesting thing is, normally you do something like that, you have to have a good reason. And so one reason might be that you're in an emergency. And so anytime we're in a drought in California, the water board can declare an emergency. So I think that that's a situation where with this legislation passing, their ability to do what they want to do would be strengthened. I think in normal circumstances, non-emergency situations, I think that basically the water board would struggle to curtail what are called pre-1914 rights. In other words, the idea is that you should curtail in order of water rights seniority. And in general, when the whole system of managing water in California was set up, I think it was 1914, basically all those people that had rights before 1914 kind of were grandfathered on a lot of the things, not everything, but on most of it. And so MID and TID are pre-1914. Our partner on the river, the city and county of San Francisco, are pre-1914. So that's a really important distinction for us. So all I can say is the Association of California Water Agencies is against all 3 of these. So that's the association that represents everybody in the water supply business. So there's, I won't, with having so many members, I'm not saying everybody's on board, but that's the association position. And one thing they've done, which actually I think is quite clever, I have to admire people I think that I disagree with. They're basically saying, let's make these people with pre-1914 rights prove it, prove that they have the rights. And basically, that's something which will benefit bigger agencies. So in other words, it's gonna, if you're a big agency like the Modesto or Trolloc Irrigation, you've got a lot of high-powered lawyers that know how to do stuff. So I don't think the MID and TID will struggle that much to prove their rights, but a smaller agency would end up just having to spend more money as a percentage of their revenue to go through this kind of legal obstacle course. So that's another thing they're trying to do. So again, the official water agency position is they're against these bills.
Right, thank you. Do we have any?
The chamber was asked for letters by MAD and we've already submitted.
Any questions? I have one. So have these rights ever been contested before? Where somebody tried to take the rights away? And if so, were they adjudicated and was there a decision on it?
So again, an interesting thing is when you have an emergency, the rules are different. And so what happened is the reason some of these laws came up is there was during the drought, there were general curtailment orders under emergency regulations. One of the agencies with pre-1914 rights misbehaved. And they were initially fined heavily, but in the end, they won. There was also a court case where MID and TID and maybe some others won, basically claiming that the board could not curtail the pre-1914 rights without curtailing all the other rights. And we won that in, I think it was in Santa Clara County. It went up on appeal and won on appeal. So that's one reason why these, in other words, the legislature is trying to strengthen the hand of the water board.
Right. Okay, thank you.
The concern that I have is you take the state water board, which is an unelected group of bureaucrats. They have way too much power. And when you start talking about emergencies and a declaration of emergency, we start with that. And they can call an emergency on anything because they're not elected. And during that, this stuff continues the way it is. They can take the water anytime they want. Doesn't matter that MID and TID has water rights that go all the way back to Wisconsin landlords. And the Supreme Court's already ruled on that twice, that those water rights are in fact belonging to MID and TID. But you take the state water and you give them the authority through the governor or whomever, they can do damn near anything you want to do. And, I think that's very troubling.
Well, I would certainly could speak for hours on the state water board, but I don't want to. What I would just make the point that MID and TID are well equipped to fight for their water rights,
Yes.
as are all the big players in the system. And so even the slightest encroachment on water rights is going to end up being litigated.
Yeah.
So, and unfortunately, to put it bluntly, this really hurts. Our overall water management in California is suboptimal in part because it is so contentious. And if the two, and I'll be the first one to say that MID and TID and most big water utilities are they're not doing everything for the environment they could. Okay, so, and I've said that before. And so our friends at the Tuolumne River Trust will have a different way of looking at this. That's fine. But again, the problem we have is the system is so litigious and contentious. And the problem is that it's not a black and white situation. In other words, what's necessary for the environment is not black and white. What's necessary to preserve our agricultural economy is not black and white. And so but unfortunately, the system ends up encouraging the players on both sides of it to treat it as if it's black or white. So the environmental side ends up being making extreme demands, but the water agency side is not properly considering everything they could do for the environment. So it's a problem.
So the other thing I would say, being involved with this for a long time is litigation costs a lot of money. The MID and KV has always said they will litigate, okay? And we as a chamber historically have said we will support that. Problem is, it costs a lot of money. And guess who gets to pay for that? The rate owners, right? And the people on the other side, they don't care. And that's the problem. But thank God that they've got the backbone to say, no, you go too far, we're gonna litigate. And they could be tied up in the courts for a long time, probably go all the way to Supreme Court again.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you both. I really appreciate that. So AT&T, I don't believe we have any representative from them. Comcast, I don't believe any of them, MID. So I guess Stephen Qualls, you're up. Right? I'm calling on myself. Okay, so this report is a little past due. I apologize for that. As you know, there was a budget agreement yesterday. They did it with the, nick of times they could still get paid. But again, there's a whole lot of talking and negotiating to go on. There'll be trailer bills and things like that they'll look at. Some of the things that the governor is concerned with. The governor wants to cut transportation funding by $2 billion. The legislature feels like that's defeating all of our climate changed goals and all the stuff that they've done with the different transit up and down the state of California. So they want to keep that money in there, and they're going to transfer 1.5. I saw 1.1 in the paper. My lobbyist tells me it's 1.5 billion from the cap and trade over into this. Yes.
Well, my question is, is that 400 billion?
No, so it's an M obviously because it's
So
2 billion. Yeah,
where is Base Train in this transit funds?
they already got their 500 million. Remember?
They're part of the 500.
No, they already got their 500 million back when Anthony Cannell and Adam Gray worked out that deal to be able to bring them. So that's the 500 million is for that. There's no additional funding as far as I know in this. From what I understand.
The funding that they've already approved for Base Train is safe.
Yes, as far as I know. Okay, and then they said they got 400, as Cecil brought 400 million, I apologize for that. Misplaced just a couple of decimal points there. And then the rest is going to head down to Southern California. The budget extends the HAP program, which has to do with homelessness and funding for 2 years. The League of California Cities has been pushing for ongoing funding for the last couple of years. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get that money. The problem is, cities and counties set up these programs and they have no assurance they're going to have the funding to continue supporting them. CSAC is pushing for more funding for what they call an at-home program, and but that's not gaining much traction up there either. As far as ballot measures, the California Business Roundtable, I told you before that it has qualified for the 2024 ballot. That's one that's going to make it much harder for. It would require cities and special districts in the state to get voter approval for all new fees and taxes and extending existing fees and taxes. If you were to put a ballot measure on a ballot, you could not put an advisory, which we know has helped a number of cities to get ballot measures passed. All new taxes and fees would have to have sunset dates on them. And if you passed a new tax after January 1st of 2020, it would have to go back to the voters to be approved by them. There's also what they call the Upland decision. The Upland decision said that if a ballot measure, an initiative is placed on the ballot by the citizens, and it's a special tax, it only requires a 50% plus one vote. That would change it back to where it's just as is. If for cities or counties put a ballot measure on, it would have to be 2/3 the vote. So I will be coming to the chamber for support with that. We just set up a campaign committee so I can actually speak publicly about that. AB 504. So this has to do with what they call the primary essential workers. So we're currently under the essential workers are defined by PERB. So currently they're not allowed to engage in a primary strike. And this bill would allow them to do what they call a sympathy strike, which means they wouldn't be able to cross over a picket line. This is all essential workers, is police, fire, and anybody who's considered a essential worker, even safety worker, emergency workers, and things like that. So we're opposed to that. I'm gonna go just, other ones are just updates as where they've crossed over to their house. AB 557 allows if they're currently, if there's a declared emergency, there was a deadline of sunset of January 1st of 2024 for cities to be able to meet virtually for their boards and committees, that this would rescind that the sunset date on it. 817, what this says is that the decision-making advisory committees and boards would be able to continue to meet virtually without having to notice their locations. This is a new one that I just brought up to you. I just brought forth AB 825. So this would prohibit cities from prohibiting bicycles on sidewalks if there was not if it was not adjacent to an existing bike path. It also established a 10-mile-an-hour speed limit. We're concerned about that with all the sidewalk, dining that we have now. And also, you've got your scooters and stuff on the sidewalk, people who are, have disabilities, things like that. So we would not be able to prohibit that. And we have just concern with that. We haven't taken a position. That's over in the Senate. AB 1637, all government agencies would have to change their domain names to .gov or ca.gov. This could be very expensive for cities to do so. So we're opposing that one. SB 252, is the one they want to divest from fossil fuels. SB 329. This is actually really popular bill. It's on the governor's desk right now. This would change the way that city council members' salaries are created or determined. Currently, city council can only increase its salary by not more than 5% for each calendar year from last adjustment. This would say that the authorized city council to adjust but not exceed their salary based on inflation since January 1st of 1984. So just go with the scooter bills. AB 316, that's when it prohibits the use of a vehicle over 10,000 pounds for testing, transporting goods or passengers without a human being on board. Kind of beats the purpose of an autonomous vehicle. Then all we know that those, and then we just had the report on AB 72. That's not federal, sorry. So yeah, ACA 10 would be an assembly, a constitutional amendment would say there's a right to housing. It would be on the 2024 ballot. That has not been heard yet, so it's still sitting in the assembly. AB 50 would require investor-owned utilities to engage with local government on connecting projects. Currently, there's a big problem with cities and developers and being able to know when their development will be connected to the grid. So this would require the utility to say, okay, this is the date by when we can connect you to our grid.
Is in 584 is the TOP, is that the tacit occupancy tax?
That's my next point. Yeah. So what this would be.
Want to use some of that now for housing, not for what it was intended for?
Well, okay, so this is a statewide TOT. So the statewide TOT, yeah. So be on top of any TOT that existing cities have for short-term rentals.
But it doesn't affect cities.
No, there's the city TOTs on short-term rentals, it does, but not on hotels and motels. And so, and we're very concerned about though, because so the average TOT in the state of California is 10%. And so there's up to 2/3 of the cities in the state of California that makes up, I mean, there's cities in the state of California where 2/3, the TOTs make up 2/3 of their general fund that they have. So we're very concerned about how this is going to affect we're saying, or there are talks of saying that they should just charge a fee to the owner of the home instead of doing a TOT. So 65% of the funding would go for new construction, for affordable housing, for workforce housing, 30% for acquisition and 5% for planning.
Is that TOT, is that based on revenue or profit?
I don't know how TOT, usually TOTs are.
Say $100 TOT is 20%.
Yeah.
It's $110 that $10 to the state. And locally we're 9%. So it's 10%.
Yeah. And it's the goal is that the short-term rentals have really reduced the number of long-term rentals in a lot of cities. I know Tuolumne County, you can't find an apartment because everything, housing for long-term rentals, they've been bought up and being used for short-term rentals. And so it's really affected the availability of affordable housing in the state of California. So I think that's where this has come from. AB 1657 would be a bond act for 2024. There's a breakdown of that for the supportive housing. Okay, now I know what you all live for. Okay, this is a law or lie animal lovers edition. Okay, so in LA, it is a misdemeanor to shoot any kind of game from a moving vehicle unless the target is a whale. Is that law or did I make that up?
The LA or Louisiana?
Sorry. Thank you. I need to be better. Los Angeles, sorry. To me, LA is Los Angeles, but you're right. Probably different down there than in LA, but yeah. So
Louisiana, we should out here.
anytime, whatever you want, as long as you can eat. That is actually a law in Los Angeles, California.
It is.
Yes, it is. It's actual law. No, I did not make that one up. No, hard to believe, huh?
Read it now.
So in the city of Napa, organic winemakers are forbidden by law from removing insects or their larvae from the grapes before processing.
I'm gonna say that's a lie.
Yeah. it's a lie.
It says a lie. You're right. You caught me. Okay. I thought it sounded pretty good right there. Oh, I thought that's pretty good. Napa, organic. Come on, man. I thought that kind of. You guys are you're just too smart.
That's called organic and fortified. That's totally different.
I should have, that's right. Organic and fortified wine. Okay, so in California, it's illegal to crossbreed a wolf and a woodle, except for scientific purposes. No, that's one I made up. See, I'm not that bad, okay? Pretty damn creative. That came from, last year we rescued an Australian Bernedoodle. And they're just the best dog you ever have in your whole life. So that's where I came up with that one from. So gotcha. Australian Bernedoodle. So Bernie's, yeah, she's just very too smart. And she's only 2 years old, so she's a teenager trying to get attitude.
That looks like.
Yeah, she is a cutie. I actually have a picture of you show. Okay, so I think we have other business. So we have announcements. Trish, do you have some announcements for us?
Oh, probably should.
Didn't we put you on the spot? Sorry, that's on my agenda, okay?
Okay, next Thursday, sort of spot on topic is our second annual From the Ground Up Sustainability Symposium. As you know, Water, MID, and TID are jointly one of our presenter sectors. We have San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District is presenting on air, Hub Construction on solar, PG&E on power for small business, I think is how they're tying it in. Divert is coming to speak about food diversion, and City of Modesto will be presenting on some of the recycling programs they have. So we have 6 different sector categories, the 6th one being California Green Business Network, kind of highlighting the program at the state level. Each county they're trying to get every county to have a program provider. We are the program provider for Stanislaus County, so they're helping elevate that message. We don't have as many attendees as we wanted, but we have an awesome powerhouse presentation field. So I'm hoping that we kind of build on our attendees still. The messaging is going to be amazing. And the following week on Tuesday, which I believe is the 27th, open to all, free event, member or not, we are having a regional multi-chamber mixer. We are doing this co-hosted between the Modesto Chamber of Commerce and Kaiser Permanente. The other chambers present, see if I can get them all, is Tracy, Manteca, Ceres, Turlock, Patterson, Wesley. Did I see them? Yeah. Lodi is our farthest coming one. There's 9 others in total. I got to 6.
That's a pretty good group.
So there's 10. Riverbank, thank you. Escalon is coming. Oakdale is coming there. I think we got there. I feel like I'm missing one more San Joaquin one.
Latina?
Sorry?
Latina?
No, they have a conflict. I'm still nudging them to send volunteers to do it. Kaiser really wanted to see the Hispanic and Latino Chamber for San Joaquin and Stanislaus because they do support efforts that they're doing. So far, I don't have either of them. But we've had outreach to them. They know about it. So really it's an opportunity if they can make it happen. We have room for a couple more chamber tables. So we're really wanting to drive a lot of attendees to that. Again, it's member or not, it's great organic growth, opportunity, learning to meeting one another.
Where is that?
Del Rio Country Club. So you'll eat well. Also, full bar will be open and we are providing hosted wine throughout. So that is on our horizon. We have I don't have the dates in front of me. So you did catch me off guard there a little
Sorry.
bit. We have a Women in Business summer social coming up. Liz is gonna get our dates. And then we have a Rising Professionals Summer Social coming up on July 6th. The Women in Business one, I think.
That is on the 20th, and that is at Stone Cold Fire,
No, it's at Stonefire Pizza. Yeah.
also known as Medici. And that is at 5 o'clock.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
And then on July 6th, the Rising Professionals social will be at Modesto Nuts, actually. So those are the key ones and that I could come up with.
Great.
For you
That's
on the
amazing
spot.
off the top of your head, man. I'm impressed. Very
They're
impressed.
very busy.
Okay, so I think that we are ready for today's presentation from the Tuolumne River Trust. And I'd like to thank Edgar Garibay and Hillary. I'm not, I try your last name, I'm sorry. So Hillary to join us today. Thank you very much for coming. We really appreciate it. And the floor is yours. Thank you.
Can I just say next slide or do you want me to, because I was. I can, okay. I want to thank, the Government Relations Committee, here today, and Michael, for, inviting Michael Gaffney. I wasn't able to join us. He's out of office for a couple of weeks. So, welcome. Again, we're the Tuolumne River Trust. We're a watershed organization that works throughout the Tuolumne River. And so my colleague, I am the program director of our Modesto office, and my colleague Hillary is our manager.
Yes, I'm the Central Valley Program Manager and Hillary.
Excellent. Yeah, so part of, I think we've already kind of established what we do. We're a river-wide organization. We look at a variety of different topics and work throughout the watershed. Sonora, we have an office in Sonora, an office here in Modesto, and then we also have an office in the Bay Area. And we're looking at different opportunities to look at the river itself for drinking. So they do closer, sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
For a river that provides safe drinking water, that's teeming with fish and wildlife, and it's an opportunity to welcome recreation throughout. We have a lot of different great parks and great opportunities along Tuolumne, and I think we've already established, who we are and why we exist. Next slide. Over the last 40 years, we've been able to engage, protect, and revive. You can see all those and read it on the screen. I won't go over. I'll just focus on a few of those, particularly in the engagement. We do a lot of people work here in our Modesto office, where we engaged or reached more than 40,000 youth today. We've been working in the Central Valley for about 20 years. And on the reviving portion of it, we work with the city of Modesto collaborative. So a lot of this cannot be done without collaborative relationship building. Removed Dennett Dam in 2016 or 2017. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's a really awesome way. If you've ever seen a river, how the river's been diverted. It was a really cool project that we worked with the city of Modesto. We worked with an organization, River Partners, to acquire a property of 2,000 acres where the confluence or where the Tuolumne meets San Joaquin. It's in the process right now of being turned into a state park. So it is in that process. So we don't have anything here locally other than Turlock Lake, which is currently not open at the moment, but our closest state park is Coswell, which is in Ripon, I believe. And so Dos Rios is on its way to becoming a state park. There's going to be a lot of cool things too that hopefully all as a community and including the chamber can come together and look at what kind of state park, what designation we can give that, whether it's recreation. There's a lot of different opportunities to look at that. And in 2013, when we had the rim fire, our what we call our upper watershed team or our Sonora team has worked very much closely with Stanislaus National Forest and Tuolumne County and a lot of different public agencies
and our local tribes of Miwok to look at really restoring some of these spaces, specifically the rimfire. So we do a lot of meadow excavation. And today, I think we planted over not 1 billion. I think I did the same thing, 1 million trees. And we're really looking at innovative ways of looking at forest health. And I think this has also been talked about as well. Next slide. Our buckets fall into 3: advocate, restore, and educate. Our focus will be on advocacy as it relates to access to parks and natural spaces, because that's a lot of what we do here in Modesto. And then education, we have our Trekking the Tuolumne program, where we go to actual programs in the city of Modesto City Schools, and work with 4th through 6th graders to learn about water safety, canal safety, and a variety of other related topics to learn about the Tuolumne River that are related specifically just to learn what our watershed is, what it encompasses, and really learn about through these hands-on learning experiences, and partnering with Stanislaus County Office of Education, Modesto City Schools, through other grant funding opportunities to take the students out to the actual to our actual parks to really look at the river and see what it's like. These students have never been out to the river, and so we really focus throughout Modesto City Schools in partnership as well, and it's a program that's also funded through MIT SWAP that has provided this graciously allowing us to be able to work with a lot of students that are in MIT service areas. We also expand our reach to work with Stanislaus County Office of Education when we're asked outside of the MIT customer area. And then again, Restore is also here, some of the things that I've already talked about. Next slide. Where I'm going to talk about and where our work started, given about in the early 2000s, really was the Lower Tuolumne River Plan, which was a joint effort with a lot of local agencies to really look at the parks from LaGrange all the way to the confluence. Different opportunities to build out parks are sort of similar to what we see along the Stanislaus. So you see these little pearls, of parks that you see exist today that start at LaGrange and go down to Waterford, Foxborough, Houston, Ceres, and really the jewel of this area is the Tuolumne River Regional Park. That is an effort led through a joint power authority with the city of Modesto, city of Ceres, Stanislaus County. It is 500 acres, 7 river miles, and the city of Modesto oversees this park system. Next slide. So you'll get a chance to see what this looks like. This is a rendering of the master plan, which was in 2001, 2002. It has its challenges. And so some of that is just providing some demographic data from the Allen Virus Screen, which is a tool used by California Environmental Protection Agency. We just pulled some data from the census tracts in West Modesto, South Modesto, downtown, a portion of downtown in your neighborhood, and some of the demographic data. You can see it's predominantly Hispanic, Latino, or Latinx communities. Why is that important? Well, so it's just demographic data showing, and then I'm going to list out some of the challenges. It's just stating what we see in and around our parks. And can we go to the next slide? It's just saying that there's predominantly a lot of social issues or social challenges that come within these communities where the parks are located. That's all that is. And so the population estimation is 41,000 people live in and around these areas. And we have the census tract. So what this just highlights are the different challenges that are showing up in our park system. But at the same time, we have opportunities that arise. Could you go to the next slide? That has led to some of these efforts around our park equity program. And so with COVID, long story short, we were able to develop in the airport neighborhood a safe routes or park equity program to start to work with the community to revive these park spaces. And so we worked with I know it says the Airport Neighborhood Collaborative there twice, but community-based organizations, the city, and other community partners, virtually while COVID was happening. And we developed, 2 park plans. If you go to the next slide.
Was one of those meant to be West Modesto Community Collaborative?
No, this was separate. So this is just in the airport neighborhood and then the West Modesto Collaborative. If we can go to the next slide. So this is where we came. So we came together with the community. This was pre-COVID in 2018 where we looked at that specifically. So we came up with 3 goals and we're constantly looking for funding opportunities to engage with broad stakeholders. But we really looked at 3 main goals that we're looking at this for our park equity work. This is where we really got started, and then I'll head it off to Hillary, who'll talk about our Park Youth Committee and where we're going with all of this. So as you can read from the goals, there's safety, there's activities that we want to be able to bring together, as well as a variety of different activities, and improving a lot of the infrastructure in and around them. And you may say, how is that important? As we build and we say, and we've said that, and even the city and the county have said that this is a jewel of our community. And also, how can we build a lot of these efforts that are community that can be for the community, and at the same time, how can this be an economic driver? This park system, as you all may know and are familiar with, the Downtown Master Plan has the Tuolumne River Regional Park as a destination. And as we look for, and if we just go to the next, the final slide, and I'll just read this next slide. It's just an opportunity for all of us to engage basically civically. The city of Modesto is undergoing the regional master plan. And it hasn't been updated since 2001, so it is an opportunity for us to engage. It's also similarly on the same tracks. They're also utilizing some of the funding from the federal government that we were able to, I think it's the CARES Act funding, to also do an economic study on the river, on the river itself, or the park system. So this is a great opportunity for us and chamber members that are listening to this presentation to really look at this opportunity to engage civically and what are the different opportunities that can come about. There's been some ideas by some of our elected officials to see if there's an opportunity to look at this, like the San Antonio Boardwalk, just to envision this in this long-term piece. And then, so that's what we've been able to do and engage civically with the community to look at addressing a lot of their infrastructure issues so that some of these parks can be visited regionally. These are regional destinations. Some of those have also turned into some opportunities, including that the Modesto Rec Fest, which we are the lead organization. It's a festival of recreation that we haven't had it since COVID. We're going to have it this spring. Basically, it's just a day where we celebrate either in the airport portion of the park system or in the downtown area, so that people start to come to these parks as an opportunity. The economic side, I think, and some of you may already know Chris Guptill and Darren Jesberg with the bike racing, the bike competition. And so that has brought in some opportunities to engage and have different events at the Tuolumne River Regional Park. So if you have an opportunity to take the survey, that's something that we're very heavily involved in. And I'll hand it over to my colleague.
Down on the next slide.
Actually, you're fine right here on this
Oh,
side.
sorry.
That's okay.
All right, so that kind of leads into what I do. So I'm the Central Valley Program Manager, and I really manage our youth and family outdoor recreation programs, as well as park equity and park accessibility. So I just want to give you guys a couple of photos. We have some programs where we really focus on bringing youth and family Riverside communities, but also all Modesto residents to our river parks. A lot of people have lived here for years and they've never gone down and used the parks. There's been a lot of great efforts through different plans and cleanups and restoration to make it a positive recreation space. So we're really trying to capitalize on that and have people come to visit.
You
Yes.
said park equity. What does equity have to do with the park?
So
Is
everyone.
that just the buzzword that everybody uses?
So what we're trying to talk about is everyone should have the same access to a park, no matter where they live. the same type of park that has functioning restrooms, that has functioning playgrounds, has safe sidewalks. They don't, not throughout all of Modesto. They don't. So that's why we're working towards our park youth committee is one of our research projects. So we're focusing on, specific example is James Marshall and Robertson Road. And so looking at different amenities. So we have a project where you're looking at Grisada, you're looking at Freedom Park in comparison to some of our parks in West Modesto, Robertson Road and James Marshall, where you can see the condition of infrastructure, the condition of sidewalks, whether there's stop signs, whether there's crosswalks where people actually walk safely to these parks or not. And so that's with our park youth committee, we're actively teaching them skills on data collection, different research on how to get community input, provide feedback on what people want on their parks and what is being represented in our affluent parks like Freedom, not represented in James Marshall or Robertson Road. So it's a way for them to learn skills and projects to be able to advocate for park. So,
Well, to be able to advocate for anything in the rest of their lives.
yes. So we're hoping to do that. So if you move down to the next slide, these are some of the tools that they've created. So with the partnership of this grant, they've been able to receive ArcGIS Online account. So they're able to start using different applications, different tools. They've created a story map. So it's an interactive website that has different data points for you to see the conditions of parks from the four parks from our project. We also have a park survey to get feedback on the current plans that the city has for the parks and as well as what other amenities and things people want to see in these parks. So those are two resources that you guys can check out. And we're trying to get some community feedback and data over the summer and then go to city council to be able to advocate for this and get some city council support for some of these improvements along with the other big park projects that are coming down and support of the Measure H funding going through.
So you're, what you're talking about is a group of youth, young people that are doing this. I love that you're teaching them the skills of research and survey. What's the age range of this group?
They are all high school students. So it's between freshmen to high school seniors. And then we do have a couple from our first cohort that have stayed on into our second cohort. They're going to be graduating or they've already graduated and they're leaving for college. So they'll be with us through June. And then we have the core 8 that are going to be with us. And so it's all youth-led, youth-driven. They're the ones who are creating these tools. They're the ones doing these presentations. We actually had a first community presentation at the West Modesto Community Center on June 9th. And so they were able to share about it, get feedback, and try to hear what people want to see improvements for their neighborhood. So
the same group that presented to council a few weeks back.
Different. That one was the youth commission.
So that was different. Group.
Yes.
Okay.
So Parks and Recreation neighborhood, Ashley Weaver helped facilitate the youth commission, which is a city-based one. We are specifically working on park equity and it's a separate high school youth group, but we're trying to have some collaboration for this next year that's coming up with the youth commission. So we'll be starting in the fall.
So will this,
Great mentorship.
the story map and like that, would those tell you, because I know that, so some friends of mine started a pickleball tournament in Modesto, and I didn't know that the lights at Fire Park had been off since 2009. Because they can't afford to have the lights. They were saying it's also why a lot of the bathrooms are closed.
Yeah.
Does that tell you things? Will that tell you what parks have operating restroom, water, drinking fountains, infrastructure?
And that's what we're hoping to do. So this is a pilot project where we're hoping to use this model that can be used for all parks. So we use one of the tools, it's something called Quick Capture. I don't know if anyone's used it. It's a tool for ArcGIS Online. But it's a photo mapping tool. So it's specifically for Modesto for our project where you can go to a park. You can look at the condition of the infrastructure, whether there's restrooms, the playground, if there's an error or like not an error, but like an issue, broken sidewalks, if there's a lot of paraphernalia that's left on the ground. So we're hoping to be able to expand this citywide so people can start to use these tools to check the current status of these amenities because a lot of them, as we've seen, are closed down, like bathrooms are closed, they're non-functioning or just infrastructure repairs, playgrounds that are broken that need improvement. So this is a way for us to just get a current status and inventory of what the conditions are. And so for us as a whole organization, this is kind of what we're looking to do over the next 5 years. So as Edgar was mentioning, for our upper watershed team, a lot of boots on the ground restoration work that they do up there. So we're hoping to within that Rimfire, Brim Scar, as well as other areas of the Santa Claus National Forest, reforest 14,000 acres and planting 5 million trees. We're hoping to improve the forest health of about 30,000 acres that are overgrown. So helping the forest health and conditioning that will hopefully prevent larger fires that outbreak in California. And some of these measures are to help keep a healthy forest. We do have 2 projects, salmon habitat restoration projects. One is in LaGrange, where we're hoping to help restore some floodplains for salmon spawning habitat. And then down on Carpenter Road, there's a large portion that's kind of next to the Bella Anita Park soccer fields. It's a big empty lot right now. That's what we're hoping to provide a floodplain for salmon breeding. So as they kind of get a little bit older, have a safe place as well as turning it into another park along the Tuolumne River Regional Parkway. And of course, that would be one of the river parks that we're hoping to kind of complete. And then we're hoping to continue to engage people and at least get another 1,000 people, new people engaged in our programs, especially through the youth and outdoor recreation programs that I host. And so these are the ways that we're asking people how that they can help. One of them is just championing the work, talking about what we do, sharing the programs, especially with us trying to build up a high school youth park coalition. We have the Park Youth Committee, but we're going to hope to try to grow that and get more people involved. Same with inviting others to engage with our different recreational programs. They're all free, they're at no cost. We provide the equipment and everything we need to just have a safe recreational experience along the river. And then another way is people were asking for obviously investing in our programs. We are a nonprofit in different ways for financial support through the programs. And so down below,
Where's your funding?
so we have multiple types of funding. So we have membership based. We also have some state grants. We have some federal grants. So we have a few different areas. They're usually grants that you have to apply for to receive the funding through.
What's your annual expenditure?
I don't have that off the top of my head.
One
But
of,
it is public information, so you can find it on our website, which is
one of the irons of life is that the Modesto Irrigation District has been supporting the Tuolumne River Regional Trust, the Tuolumne River Trust for years for all the good work that they do. At the same time that the other side of their organization is trying to cut off our water. So it's kind of an amusing compare and contrast.
So Peter Drickmeyer obviously is one of the best proponents that you guys can talk to about the water policy and advocacy side. We definitely are focused right now on our recreation, use of the river, and having it be a safe fun space so people can start to come and visit here. People don't really know much about Modesto and our river park, so we're really hoping to change that to kind of improve visitation.
There's a lot of potential in elevating the river parks.
We are a river city that doesn't know it's a river city.
You know, we did a family day, the chamber did a family day last October, November-ish, and I partnered with Chris Guptill on part of it. And so we did a cycling thing. We wanted hundreds of people. We had 150 people probably come through.
Yeah.
90% of them, we did get them to go down off of the road near John Thurman down into there and come out going, I had no idea, was everyone's response. I had no idea.
And that's usually the feedback we get from when we do different nature walks, bike rides, or things along the Tuolumne River Regional Parkway. People who lived here for years have never been there. And kids, this is in your backyard.
And it's
Don't
pretty
have-
down there. There's already some build out down there.
There's a lot of stuff. They work great for cleanups, the restoration, the mountain biking trails. So there's different types of recreational use that I think that has so much potential. We're just trying to share it with people so we can start to have positive recreation to kind of combat some of the issues that we do face a lot on.
There's a little built-in amphitheater down there. Solid concrete,
Yeah.
really nice. That Copper Bridge,
Yeah.
I call it Copper Bridge.
Yeah.
It's just so pretty all through there.
And I'll tell you that mountain biking, it's pretty hairy. My wife's a runner. I only run with people chasing me, so I ride my bike instead.
Yeah.
So she up on the asphalt, I'm down there too. There's a whole BMX bike park down there.
They
It might be
built-
underwater
they
now.
built it.
But I mean, right, it's really hairy. It's really good. Because I'm very, very impressed. I had no idea it was there. I just happened to go there one time, like, whoa, this is great, because I like to mountain bike. So fantastic.
So on the Stanislaus River, they have a campground. That's it's not really close. In this park, there are no plans for any kind of parking or camping, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's actually perfect.
Am I going back?
Where's that? Go back to your model here.
Yeah.
Tell me when.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, down one more
Yeah.
to this one, or do you go to that?
Oh, to the map of the,
This is the map below.
it's further up.
Yeah.
It's further up.
There you go.
Yeah, where is it? Champion?
So there isn't currently anything at the moment.
No, the long range plan, where would that be?
Long range plans, the city, the Citizens Advisory Committee, has proposed that there may be some right here. in Legion Park, some potential day use and, overnight as an opportunity. But that also could be part of, that's also why the city's doing a survey
Would that be on the
right here.
Surrey side or the?
No, this would be on the Modesto side of the airport neighborhood. That's what,
Which side of the,
The north
the
side.
north side of it.
where the airport is?
Yeah, with the
Yeah.
airports. That's where there has been some conceptual discussion, but again, that's just at the Citizens Advisory and Commissioners. But it was just more of a discussion. The survey will give you an opportunity to say if that's something that you prefer, that.
So it's just a thought.
It's a thought. Yeah. And the economic development side of that will probably explore that. That's my guess.
And I'm part of one of the city supervisory or forums, I think it was end of May. So I would encourage everyone here to, I don't know if you can put up the QR code and they can go right to it. But go to that survey and because they're looking for how would we utilize that area? Personally, I would kayak. I would love to say that I would bike, but
Yeah.
I'm a little bit more passive in my exercise. So, you know, but when I was at that forum, it was interesting because not all uses were really being put forward. So I would really encourage you to share that QR code and go and just spend a couple of minutes talk and just, you know, let them know how you would like to use it. Not how you're using it today, but how you would like to use it. Because personally, I don't kayak down there because I don't even know how to get down there to access the water. The other piece of that I thought was really interesting, and I don't need to, you know, over talk or, you know, I was just there as a participant to the forum, but they were talking about the campsite. There is nowhere to camp along that Tuolumne. And if you have any kind of RV, I don't know where you live in your community, but everyone in my community like has that. If it's summertime, their RV is on the front and they're ready to go. Like it is weekend warriors, right? They're looking for those KOAs. They're looking for those campsites and we just don't have enough. And from what I understand now, there isn't one on the Tuolumne. It's beautiful down there in the beautiful spots.
Yeah.
In the beautiful spots. And so I love that they were talking about that. They were talking about the fact that the city might run it. That gives me a little bit of hesitation. I think that there's a partnership to maybe be developed with maybe the KOA. Or I don't know the economic side of that, but I would love to see a beautiful spot to recreate down there because that would be amazing. And it would fuel the biking concept, right? All of the events and special events that want to occur down there because you're not gonna stay with your bike at the DoubleTree and then ride down. You certainly could, you know, dodging that traffic, but it would be so much easier. And there's some natural funding sources, some natural revenue to come from that stream and that whole 7-mile stretch if it's treated right.
Yeah, and then there's also, so just real quick, there's a link, hyperlink here in the presentation to the survey that you can also go to. That you can go to right there, it says survey. I'll also add that the city is already kind of in the final process with Gallo to swap Beardbrook with the front part of their property. So that would go along the airport through the backside into Overdrive Creek. So there still needs to be some funding to.
So the parts of the park would be connected together.
Yeah.
What a trail.
Because right now there is a
Trail.
continuous trail. And so that's one of the bigger things of the connection piece. Something that they've been working. And we were in the initial discussions and speaking with the Gallo family and the city, and then after that, the city.
Chris, can you put that?
That's right.
Oh,
No.
you have to share this. It
Yeah.
goes with it. Yeah.
Okay, just that piece.
And then that's why
If they give it to me as a document.
yeah, we can send it out and so that way it can be shared, but any feedback you guys have, it's, you know, this is our park. How do we want to use it? What do we want to see for the future? This is for the master plan for the next 20+ years. So definitely there's sections of options that you can select that you like, you can provide your own feedback. So we encourage everyone.
It's only been,
So the 23rd, yeah. So the city 3 community meetings. And now it's the surveys.
Is it possible they could extend that?
That's
I
a
definitely
city question.
I could,
For the
we
city.
could ask.
Well, Trish, if you wanted to, you could send this out, send the link out. I mean, you could even, so the chamber, as all the people at this table know, sends out a lot of repetitive emails constantly harassing us as members. And so you could.
You're
put a-
welcome.
You can put an email out in which you just, you have an announcement that the chamber members are invited to comment.
Yes. Yeah, we'll partner with you. Just send me a 1-pager and we'll put it out. So it's all. With all that, if you want the surveys and the QR code, however you want that to look, make sure it's very clear who's asking and what you're wanting. So it's titled.
A beautiful postcard that was created.
Yeah.
They don't have to create it. It's very eye.
I just need it as a electronic that we can insert.
I can send out the city central.
So, have you looked at the, Turlock Lake, the SR, because, you know, Turlock, apparently TID wants nothing to do with it. They've completely abandoned it. They call it Money Pit, and there's a beautiful campground right down there. I've stayed in it a number of times. I mean, it's really a lot of mosquitoes, but have you looked at that?
We're barely starting to look into that. I know that it's a state parks,
Right,
so
What is
we
that?
definitely would have to reach out.
right. Do you know where Turlock Lake is? So Turlock Lake is out, you take, we take Lake Road out of, not Hillmar, come on.
Waterford, after Waterford.
Oh, yeah, no, but what's the smaller town? Hickman. You go through Hickman.
Okay.
Yeah, and you go out the road, it's a beautiful, especially on a motorcycle. And then you have Turlock Lake, beautiful lake. And then on the other side of the roadway, just down the road, there's a campground down on the Tuolumne River itself. And yeah, oh yeah, it's great. They had bathrooms, all that kind of stuff. And so we're talking to TID, they're saying that they're trying to get the state's trying to get the county to take it over. But I mean, if there's some way you can work something like that, I mean, it's a great, and I think it'd be a great economic, it could pay for itself. But if you, apparently back in the day, that was the place to go. If you lived in Modesto, I wasn't here at that time. Good point.
Turlock Lake is the regulated reservoir. Turlock Lake. So it's an artificial reservoir. It holds, in other words, it's part of the running, so this river system is run by MID and TID to maximize water. Power is a byproduct. But it just, by having, say, for instance, Modesto Reservoir is about 20,000 acre feet. It just gives you a little bit more ability to regulate the system. Also, interestingly enough, my friend who used to be the boss of the Oakdale Irrigation District, would tell me that Modesto Reservoir leaks like a sieve. So now we call that groundwater recharge. So yeah, I'm sure that they get groundwater recharge in Turlock Lake as well. But for the record, I think Turlock Lake is much more beautiful than Modesto. And it's a really nice.
It's cleaner. It's definitely cleaner. It's got the, and I mean, like in the wintertime, there's so many duck blinds out there. I think economically it could pay for itself if somebody were just to, they used to have concession stands there. They've got bathrooms there. You know, they've got beautiful picnic area. It's really a nice place. And so I think that that's something you hope that somebody will look at and try to move forward with that, because I think it's a wasted jewel in our area. It is. There's so many people that would like to go there because it's so much closer than the other places are.
Yeah. There was something that we went to originally. Teaching families how to farm is where we originally wanted, because I was supposed to.
Yeah, but I know the state would love to get rid of them. And they do with all of our state parks. So are there any further questions? All right, well, thank you very much for coming. We appreciate you guys. You did a great presentation. Okay, so our next meeting, I don't know, do you have a date for our next meeting?
Third Friday of July, which will put us on the 21st.
Okay, so our next meeting will be on July 21st. Do we have a speaker? I'm really putting you on a spot here.
Yeah, I don't know.
We want a speaker.
Well, never really has that.
Yeah, so anyway, but and is there anything further for the good of the order?
We're good.
Okay, I want to thank you all for coming. Please encourage your friends, family, associates to come and join us. We have these great lunches that have been provided lately by our sponsors. And again, thank you very much for our speakers. Thank you for all and closing comments from the.
Yeah, if any,
Is this okay?
yes. Thank you. If anyone would like to sponsor either our Economic Development Committee lunches, our Government Relations lunches, or South Los Green Team lunches, let us know. We are looking to fund the lunch month to month for all three of those meetings. $250 or $500, and we'll brand you for a meeting or two based on that.
So I still have one more question, because you said that the Philon Lake is managed by PID. It's a reservoir. Where does the water come from?
Falling Brook. In other words, it's the main TID canal is diverted in the Grange. So it would flow from the Grange to that regulated reservoir.
Go out and try it out. I think you might be, you can get in there. So,
Back in, I think, March, we did like a day trip and we went out to Modesto Reservoir. There's two lakes there. I don't remember one versus the other. Feels like it. Man, it's beautiful. I had no idea, but the bathrooms, oh my gosh, the parking lots, it's just trashed in that side of it. It's unfortunate
it
because
is.
I was amazed how pretty it was out there.
Good meeting. I actually learned a few things today.
Congratulations, Cecil. I'm so proud of you.
10 years and I finally started to learn stuff.
Hey, well, that's like- well, it must be the presenter, the host.
Clearly.
Well, thank you everybody for coming today. I appreciate